Hi, everyone. This is Jacqui Cooper with JCooperTravels Talk Show, and I want to welcome everyone back. Also, please like and subscribe because we are constantly having new guests that are going to be sharing really important information with us, and you never know when a drop of a talk show is going to happen. So by liking and subscribing, you'll be able to stay in the loop and be able to help yourself with new knowledge about where to go around the world as well as where to go personally to help you and your family. So for those that might be new to J Cooper Travels, I'll just give you a quick update. I started this talk show last June. I'm super excited with everything that's been going on over the past year. COVID has sort of changed exactly where we were going to go. I thought I'd be talking just about travel physically because I'm involved with, providing everyone travel insurance and helping with bookings. But as things happened, it ended up being more about how do we travel in life? How do we stay healthy? How do we, make our careers more, happy and better from a quality perspective? I mean, COVID has taught us to think about what do we want in life and how are we getting it? And just making it even more precious the time that we have with our loved ones and family and our friends. So with that being said, our guest today, Desiree, she is a remarkable woman. She has a business, and we're going to talk more about it. And the whole purpose is keeping you healthy, and which ends up making you happy, because if you're healthy, you're happy. So, Desiree, welcome. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, share a little bit more about your business, and then I will ask you some of the questions that I have.
Okay, thank you for having me on your show. It's great.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so my business I'm in the health business, and I started this like 25 years ago in South Africa. And then I came to America for 2 weeks in 2003, and here I still am, and started the same, my main product. I started producing it here. So it's a calcium magnesium blend powder, and you mix it with boiling water. And it's so important for stress, and it gets into the body instantly. So it's called instant CalMag-C. So for that reason, so I do that, and I help people physically as well. If they're having problems and they're in my area, I do muscle testing on them, which means I can test and see what they're deficient in and what they need. And so that's what I do, and I like helping people, so it's my favorite pastime.
So I know you're a nutrition and health expert, and especially in the area of stress management. And trust me, after this last year, I'm sure a lot of people need your help. How did you end up going into that whole area? What made you decide that helping people in the health area was something that really was inspiring to you?
Well, more than 40 years ago, before I had my first daughter, I found Adele Davis. She's a nutritionist. She's no longer around, but a great nutritionist. And stuff that I learned about being pregnant and having a baby was just amazing. In her one particular book, Let's Have Healthy Children. And then not terribly long after that, about 10 years or so, I was a detox specialist and getting people through a detox program to get them either off drugs and get the drugs and the medications and the planet is so riddled with toxins, and you get it in your food, you get it in the air, you get it all over, and it builds up in the fatty tissue. Basically what happens is your body can offload certain amounts of any toxin, but it can't offload it all. So the body's got a very clever way of handling that. It coats those particles in fat and deposits it in the fatty tissue. I know. So I've got a little story that I tell people, like just to give an example. So, but then unfortunately, these toxins locked up there, the mental aspect of it is this. So let's say you go in a pub with your husband and you're getting drunk. So you're drinking merrily, and there's a guy in the pub and he's flirting with you. And your husband gets mad with him, and they start to punch each other up, and it starts to get like, okay, so they go home, and the next day the alcohol is kind of worn off. But here's what happens. Those alcohol particles, the body can't offload them all. So the body coats in fatty tissue and deposits that in the fat. So what happens is, let's say he's at work one day, he hasn't eaten, and he's tired, and blah, 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 whatever, things like that. So what the body does for the energy, it pulls from the fat. The energy, that's where your body gets energy from. So now this fat comes into the bloodstream, and it just so happens to have some of those alcohol particles from that incident. So all so all those thoughts and emotions and upset and the punching and whatever are all stirred up again. And he feels angry, and he goes home, and he mad with his wife, and because of these particles that were released now. And sorry, there's somebody just.
Oh, it's okay. I don't even see that. So just go right ahead.
Anyway, so basically, this is what happens. Any drug particles, whether it's medicine, so if you go and you get an anesthetic because you're having an operation, the same story happens, because it's all below your awareness level, but it's locked up, the memories are locked up there. Anyway, so this detox program offloads all these toxins, and there's a very specific, it's all vitamins that are used and stuff like that. There's no drugs, no medication. And so I've done that. And then and one of the parts of the program is the calcium and magnesium, a CalMag formula, which you mix the powders. So the detox people in Johannesburg couldn't find vitamin B1. And it was Christmas time, and South Africa being in the southern hemisphere, that's a very busy time because it's our summer there. So I drove all over Joburg looking for B1, and I couldn't find any anywhere. So I started to get like skeptical, like, what's Big Pharma doing? They're stopping the vitamins, and this is kind of like all the kind of stuff that's going through my head. So I got mad. So I called the laboratory in another city, and I said, why don't you have B1? What's happening? And then the guy said to me, oh, because it's all gone out on tender for the alcoholics. And then I'm like, oh, that's cool. They're using it for the alcoholics. So he told me to go to the warehouse in Johannesburg to go and see if they had any B1, which I did. And I arrived there, and South Africa is much more relaxed and chilled than here. So I went in, and I said to the lady, can I get some B1, please? She said, sorry, we don't have any left. So I said, do me a favor, take me to the shelf where you keep it in the warehouse. And she did. And on the shelf were 6 little bottles. So I said, oh, can I buy those? She said, sure. And so I did. And then I made a decision. I was never letting that happen again to the detox program. So that's how I started.
That's amazing. So how did you come up with the idea of combining the calcium, the magnesium, and the vitamin C?
Okay, so basically the formula for the detox program is calcium, magnesium, you buy the different powders, and apple cider vinegar, you mix it, and that's how you give it to the people on the detox. And I was doing that for years and years. In fact, when my kids were born, I started to give it to them immediately. And basically, I never had teething issues. I never had crying babies. I never had an upset. I had very calm babies. But then there were a few people that used to come to America, and they had found this instant one. And they came back and they wanted me to get this instant one for them. Okay. So I did, because I was at that point importing a lot of the stuff from the USA into South Africa. So I ordered 12 little bottles, as I say, of that one. And it came. And before I sell something to somebody, I will always test it myself. So I tried it and I'm like, no, what's this stuff? This doesn't work. Didn't give me any of the feelings, of what the other one did. Anyway, so little bit of time went on, and then I had a shipment confiscated by our FDA.
Oh, wow.
It's called the Medicines Control Council, or MCC for short. And I lost all of that shipment. And you know, when you're a small fledgling business, what that does to you, it really made me like, oh. And I like went, bleh. But luckily I had friends that pulled me by the hair and said, look at the mountain, you know, and wouldn't let me be effect of that. So then basically what happened is I started to manufacture them in South Africa at a laboratory. And then because of these people that wanted the instant CalMag, I got the laboratory to make it up for me as well. And when it came to me, I tried it and I'm like, wow, this is good stuff. What is the difference? I now kind of know what the difference is, but then I didn't. So it became my baby.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So why don't you go ahead and mention your website so that way people can have the opportunity to look at the CalMag-C product, and that way they can check it out. What?
Okay, sure. So it's CalMag, CalMag-C.com. And because of my accent, I'll say C for Charlie, A for Apple, L for Lima, M for Mary, A for Apple, G for George, hyphen, C for Charlie again.com.
Yes. And for those that might be, if you don't have a pen or paper and if you're, driving or whatever, don't worry. I'll put the contact information in the blog post below so that way you'll definitely be able to reach out and connect and check out the website. And all you have to do is remember JCooperTravels and you'll be able to connect back over. So are there any side effects with using the CalMag-C?
No, but I mean, everybody's body is different. So everybody will need different amounts. I mean, even dogs, I've got even people that have given it to their dogs because it stopped the seizures. So it just depends on you, how much your body needs and stuff. But no, there's no negative side effects. But if you have too much and you might get a bit of a loose gut and stuff. But just so you know, calcium gluconate, which is the particular form of calcium in this product, is the most potent painkiller. It's more potent than morphine. And it is so important because it's got there's so many body functions that need this. And I mean, I can go into all kinds of subjects. I can go into pain. I can go into PMS. I can go into sleep. There's just so many things that it helps with. But I'll tell you an interesting story. This is before I started to make the instant one. And when I was still doing the separate powders, I went into labor, this is 36 years ago, to have my son. And my husband made 2 liters of that CalMag. And we got to the hospital and I drank roughly about 1.5 liters. You know how much pain I had in that labor?
How much?
0.
Wow.
0. It was an eye opener for me, because I had my personal direct experience on that. Yeah, so it's a very amazing.
So why don't you go ahead and mention again the website, because I know that people are going to be very curious as to be able to check it out.
Okay, so it's CalMag-C.com, CalMag-C.com.
That's great. So anything else that you can think of that our listeners should know about the product or about how they can tell if they need this? Again, we don't always know if we're deficient.
Okay, so we basically most people are pretty much deficient. And if their doctors have put them on calcium, that is probably the wrong form. And it's a capsule usually or a tablet. And that type of calcium carbonate, is not good for the body. It's rock. And that deposits in the joints and behind the eyes. And so you get cataracts or you get kidneys, whatever, all kinds of different things. So it's very important to get the right form of calcium. And I've got some stuff on my site too from Dr. Royal Lee, who was the founder of Standard Process. and developer of that product range, which is all food-based supplements, and very good data about calcium gluconate and lactate, actually, as being the only two forms of calcium, and he explains about the calcium gluconate, and I've got that on my site as well. And then because you're in the travel business,
yeah,
I'd like to stretch into that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I would love to talk about the travel side and anything that you want to share in that.
Okay, so basically, when you're flying, there's a couple of factors. The oxygen levels are lowered in the planes and stuff like that, as you probably know. So people are getting oxygen deprived, and it's even worse now with all this mask stuff, because you are not even being able to breathe whatever little oxygen there is. So what I suggest is that people take vitamin E, and that comes from Adele Davis. And the best form is like a wheat germ oil, where it's got all the vitamin E factors. It's not just one isolated part of the E. And when I was pregnant with my daughter and my first child, I learned this. Like if you're going into labor and you have enough, like a month or so before, you have enough vitamin E buildup, it provides oxygen in the bloodstream.
Oh, wow.
So the baby is getting oxygen. So if the cord happens to be around the baby's neck, the chance of survival is much higher because the baby has oxygen in the body. So that's a very important factor.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. One last travel question, actually, I should ask you. If individuals are thinking about traveling down to South Africa or anywhere in areas that you've traveled, is there a favorite place that you've been to that you would suggest that they go and see?
Oh, my golly. Well, definitely got to go to the Kruger National Park. And then I have a friend who has a safari that he actually has huge tents. And when these big companies come and they have events, conventions and stuff, he actually has them live out on the safari land.
Oh, that's awesome. Do they have to worry at all about the animals when they're out there?
Well, they will be educated on that.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously, like when you go into any territory, you kind of, I'll give you a funny little story. When my daughter was small and my husband and I were at the Kruger National Park, and there's a big dam there, and all these buffaloes were drinking water, and we were parked there watching them, and it was cool. And then all the buffaloes started to gather up together and walk across the road. And at that point, we decided to leave. And the buffaloes, like one unified team, turned around and looked at us. We just stopped dead and didn't move anymore because obviously we were some kind of a threat to them. You know?
That's right. Yeah, you definitely have to be careful about, the animals, and they and respect their home just as much as possible. Well, I really, really appreciate your being on, sharing about what you're doing and how you're helping. And why don't you go ahead and share again one last time the website for CalMag-C.
Okay, so it's CalMag-C.com.
All right. And everyone, if you, again, don't have paper and pen, just remember JCooperTravels. The information will be in the block below. And I look forward to talking to you again. I definitely will share this information with others. And I'm looking forward to hearing their testimonials about how it's helped them. So thank you so much for being on. Have a great day.
Welcome. Thanks, you too.
Recording stop.